School lunch was bad. We had the pizzas, we had the chicken nuggets, we had the chicken patties. I went to my son's school one day to visit my son for lunch.
How old's your son?
My son right now is 7. And he came out with a lunch tray. On his lunch tray was no different from the food I ate.
I'm Delia Colon, and this is The Zest. Citrus, seafood, Spanish flavor, and Southern charm. The Zest celebrates cuisine and community in the Sunshine State. Today, hear from a Florida chef who's setting the table for kids to have a brighter future. Hey, quick thing before we jump in. I want to let you know that it costs money to bring you this podcast. On The Zest, we take you into restaurants and home kitchens, gardens, fisheries. We take you all over the state of Florida, and that costs money. That's why we're asking you to support this podcast. This is a public media podcast, which means we rely on everybody to chip in what they can. If you can contribute $5 or $10, that would be amazing. The link to donate is in the show notes and on our website, thezestpodcast.com. And as a thank you, we will send you a cool Zest sticker that you can put on your water bottle, your laptop, to show your friends that you have amazing tastes in podcasts. Thank you so much in advance. Now, here's today's show. When Marques Clark was a kid growing up in St. Petersburg, he lived on food stamps at home and free lunches at school. In other words, pretty low-quality food. Now, as an adult, Marques is on a mission to teach healthier options to kids, particularly Black children. So in 2014, he started Yes Chef Village. This is short for Youth Enrichment Services, Children's Healthier Eating Foundation. So Yes Chef. The program educates kids and their families about better food options through community dinners, how cool is that, and other initiatives as well. Marques, who also goes by the name Chef Omaka, recently stopped by the Zest's Tampa studio to chat with me. In our conversation, he discusses his journey to a healthier lifestyle, the connection between nutrition and physical and mental health, and the prevalence of food deserts in minority neighborhoods.
Well, it started mostly 10 years ago. People see it now, but it really was birthed in 2014. I was having an awakening with myself, and I just wanted to do something that had meaning to it, something that had power that could reach around the world. And being someone who came up from a large family and learning how to cook from my mom, having to cook for a large family, food became the second language for me. It was something that I wanted to do. So it came about from just growing up in a large family, having those experiences around the dinner table with my family. I wanted to see that in more so today's time, how it translates today, because we live in a world of social distancing, people keeping their distance and space, and I wanted to bring us back together. So even though it was birthed in 2014, I said, what a beautiful time to actually make it happen now because of all the things we were going through with social, distancing, the COVID, all of that. So it just came about from that.
Oh, I love that. Does it stand for something?
Absolutely. Yes, Chef is an acronym for Youth Enrichment Service, Children's Healthier Eating Foundation. I looked around the world and I saw the hunger issues around the world. It was large, 2 million children die from starvation on a regular. And so I wanted to make an impact in that way. But I didn't just want to be another organization that just attacked hunger. I wanted to attack nutrition and nourishment. I wanted to feed children more so than just their stomachs, but I want to feed their minds. So a lot of what we do with Yes Chef Village is we teach in mental health. We bring in experts for that. We also teach in diabetes. We teach in obesity. So those are the three things that we target is childhood obesity, childhood diabetes, and mental health, because we want people to understand that food has a major role on our psyche, on our mental health. Food plays a major role in how we show up in the world. And so I decided to use my platform with Yes Chef Village to go into those areas.
Oh, that's great. So where are these programs happening?
Well, Yes Chef Village is a program that mainly happens in St. Pete, because I'm born in St. Pete, and I wanted to start there. But it doesn't just end there. It goes outward too. But it started in St. Pete, mostly in Gulfport, a little town in St. Pete outside there. And we conduct our suppers in a forest. I'm partnered with Kriya Serene Egren, and she has founded the Gulfport Food Forest. And I partner with her so that we can host our suppers in the forest, so that not only do they get a good meal, but they also get to learn about where the food came from, because most of our food is sourced from the local farms, sourced from local gardens, and we use those programs also to help promote healthy eating, nutrition right there in the city. So we use, all kinds of gardens and programs around, 15th Street Farms, like I said, Gulfport Food Forest, St. Pete Youth Farm. We utilize a lot of these other organizations to bring the supper together.
I want to have dinner in a forest. That sounds amazing. So you're bringing in the kids.
Yeah, we bring in families. It's about families more so. Like I said, it is about youth enrichment, enriching the youth. But at the dinner table, it's families. So we're not just feeding children, we're feeding mothers, because we want those mothers and fathers to learn, what it is to eat holistically. Eating holistically just means to eat clean, to eat natural, to eat organic most of the time, and just making sure that we're eating food that is helpful to our bodies.
This may be an obvious question, but why is that so important for kids?
Because childhood diabetes and childhood obesity is prevalent in this country. It's one of the things that in most African-American homes that are on the rise. So childhood obesity is up almost 15% in this country since the pandemic. So let's say out of 5 black homes, 3 of those black homes have a child dealing with either obesity or diabetes or mental health. And so when we look at it, we're looking at what is the target, what is the factor in those issues. Most of the time it's lack of nourishment. So if we're not getting the proper nourishment, the proper food, how can a child's brain fully develop when everything is filled with sugar? Everything gets filled with high fructose corn syrup. How can a child's body fully develop if they're not eating the proper nutrition? Well, what's going to happen is if you're feeding them bad food, they're going to develop, obesity. That's what's going to happen. And they're going to develop mental health issues. So we have to get rid of the glucose in our foods in order to see a fully functioned, developed adult happen in this world. And in America, black homes are the most homes that are dealing with this at the highest level.
Oh, man. I feel a little convicted because I'm obviously the head of an African-American and Puerto Rican. My husband is household as well. And our kids have access to everything, but they want that sugar. Okay, yes. I want to back way up. Tell me about growing up in St. Pete. What neighborhood did you grow up in? What kind of foods were you eating growing up?
Well, I grew up in the south side of St. Pete. We grew up mostly in subsidized housing. So Bethel Heights was a project, of subsidized housing. My mom, we were raised in that. Lower Park, which is another neighborhood where I grew up in, going to Lakewood Elementary, Lynch Elementary, Dixie High School. These are the schools I went to and some of the neighborhoods I grew up in. Well, I'm the second oldest of 8. And so my mom, struggle. We struggle growing up as a family because poverty in America is real. And we dealt with that. So my mom, we lived off food stamps. And my dad, he did work, but, a single parent income is not going to suffice for 8 children.
What did he do?
He did marble. So he did marble tubs. He manufactured marble tubs, marble sinks for these, fancy homes. So that's what he did. Growing up as a child, I used to visit his job all the time, making these marble sinks and tubs. But my dad was just a very hard worker, blue collar type worker, go to work, come home. He put his feet up, get his food from my mom and watch the game. He was typical dad. Just made sure we had a roof over our heads and food on the table and clothes on our back. My mom was the chef, the cook of the family. You know, although we needed food stamps to help us, my mom made all the food, and we ate everything, you know, spaghetti, hot dogs, hamburgers, beefaroni, macaroni and cheese. We ate the, you know, soul food that every black household eats, you know, the hog mogs, the pigs, the intestines, the chitlins. We had food like that on the table. So we didn't eat too good. If by my, you know, I say this all the time. My mom made really bad food taste good.
That's a skill.
Yeah, that is a quality skill that, you know, a lot of people don't have, but my mom did that. You know, back in those days, growing up, you really don't know a whole lot about nutrition. So we ate all the high sodium food, high sugar food. You know, my mom brought it home and added more salt and added more sugar to it. And luckily, none of us developed diabetes or high blood pressure. But through that, I learned how to cook through watching my mom. And she told us, you know, she was like, listen, I'm not going to be cooking for all 8 of you every night.
I know that's right.
So my mom we had to learn real quick. And something about it stuck with me more than it did my other siblings, because I went into the field. I went into the industry. I went into cooking at restaurants and just took it very far and became a really good chef doing it.
Okay, I want to find out more about that. What were you eating for school lunch? Because I feel like that says a lot about someone's situation.
Yeah, school lunch was bad. You know, we had the pizzas, we had the chicken nuggets, we had the chicken patties, we had, you know, the Rice Krispies for breakfast, the Frosted Flakes for breakfast. We didn't really have good quality food at school. Our food was really bad, so it was just greasy food that was high in sodium, high in sugar, high in sweets. It was just not good. Again, pizzas, chicken nuggets, chicken fingers, the typical, you know. I went to my son's school one day to visit my son for lunch.
How old's your son?
My son right now is 7. So I went to his school about 2 years ago and visited him for lunch. And he came out with a lunch tray. On his lunch tray was no different from the food I ate. So he had chicken nuggets, a bag of potato chips with Takis, and he had, you know, chocolate milk. He had a juice that, you know, when you look at the ingredients on the juice, it's nothing natural. It's not juice.
Does not contain fruit.
No, it absolutely doesn't. And he had no vegetables were on the tray. Okay, let's just start there. And there were nothing of nutritional value on that tray. And that's what set me off. That's what really triggered the purpose of me saying, okay, it's time for Yes Chef Village to come.
Yeah. Okay. I read something about this, and you can tell me whatever you're comfortable. So school is one type of institution, and you've given us an overview of how not great that food was. And then I understand that you spent some time in some other institutions. What was the food like in those situations?
Well, I'm an open book. So anytime you want to ask a question, you can ask. Growing up, you know, I was a troubled teen and got into some, you know, things with the law and ended up in juvenile programs myself. So, you know, growing up in those programs as a youth or as a teen, the food was bad there just as well. There's no difference between school and juvenile detention centers, school and prisons, school and county jails. There's no difference in those institutions. In those institutions, you're getting fed the same crap.
Wow.
You know what I mean? There's no nutritional value. So when I was eating, you know, I've never been to a prison, but I've been locked up before. As a juvenile and as a 18, you know, I got locked up in jail for doing some things on the streets I wasn't supposed to. So,
do you want to say what they were?
No, I sold drugs, you know, selling drugs on street corners, being something I wasn't. Those wasn't the values I was raised with. So I was just trying to fit in. And selling drugs got me caught and got me put in jail. But as a juvenile, I was always angry, so it was more so fights that got me locked up. And they fed us the same thing, pizza every night or hamburgers, cheeseburgers, chicken patties, and a bag of chips, a juice, and maybe a piece of fruit. That's how we ate in juvenile detention centers. It's all just, you know, high processed foods. You know.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. you right now might say, okay, well, you got free lunch at school because you were below a certain income level. And then when you're incarcerated, you get whatever the state decides to give you. Why are you complaining? You're eating for free. So why does it matter to our entire community that everybody has access to quality food?
You have to look at it like this. You know, you got people who have money. You got people who have no money, like their families struggle. When you go into wealthy communities, wealthy neighborhoods, you're going to see grocery stores, you're going to see food marks, you're going to see healthy food places where Whole Foods, you're going to see your Rolling Oats, you're going to see your Sprouts, you're going to see these kinds of food places where the food inside those stores are healthier options for you. Now, who can afford those foods? People who live in those neighborhoods where those stores are prevalent. Now, when you look in the Black neighborhood and you just walk outside and look down the street, what do you see there? What we call food deserts. You know, a food desert is when you look down the street, you see a McDonald's to the right, a Wendy's to the left, and the Arby's down from there. Some of the low-income type of foods that only low-income people can afford. And so it's important to me to spread the knowledge and the education of promoting more healthier eating, more quality foods in and around Black neighborhoods. I will just say that because this is where it hits us. It hits Black neighborhoods the most, Black communities the most. And so it's important that we promote these gardens that we have. It's important that we promote kitchens like mine, Yes Chef Village. It's important that we promote healthier quality foods in and around the community because they're not going to build the stores around those communities for us to have access to. And sometimes most of those people coming from those neighborhoods don't have vehicles. So how can they get access? So they say, oh, why are you complaining? You know, they have these stores here. You can get to those stores if you want to. Not really. Most low-income people, I would say, don't have vehicles. So how can they get access to healthier options? I believe we just need more options, more access, so that these communities can thrive a little bit more, especially in our schools. We need more gardens.
Oh, for sure. And it's got to be frustrating being from St. Pete, watching Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, Fresh Market, Publix, all these stores sprout up in a very small vicinity. And then one neighborhood over is a food desert.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, literally, you can look where I'm from in St. Pete, you can look at the divide where it starts right around 5th Avenue North. And if you go south of that, that's the South Side community. But if you go north of that, that's when you start to get into the medium income, middle, class income neighborhoods. You're going to see those places like you just named sprout up and be there for those people. Well, a lot of people have to take a bus to get there from the African American community or Uber there, which they can't even afford. So now you're making those people struggle more to get access to those options. And to me, that's a travesty. Of course, we're facing inflation. Of course, we're facing poverty in Black neighborhoods, but we do need those options for Black people to choose for themselves. And I say that Black people because that's mainly who I target with this program is Black communities. If we don't have people popping up with better quality food, they don't even know what quality food look like or sound like because somebody has to tell them that. So if you're not telling them, hey, this is a better option, this apple over here is a better option than that apple juice. Hearing someone tell you that this is a better option, hearing someone tell you that, hey, there's a food forest over here where you can go and get that food, where you can go and pick your own food from. There's a 15th Street garden over here where you can go in St. Pete Youth Farm, you can go and pull your own food. They don't hear that. What they hear is the commercials promoting the other food. So they need people like myself to tell them that. And they need those things widespread. That's why being on here is important so that the message can go further because they need to know that we exist.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Healthy food is quiet.
Yes.
unhealthy food and, in quotes, healthy and unhealthy, but like an apple is quiet, but apple juice is loud because it has commercials and it has characters and it has, cereal boxes have all these fun toys inside and stuff.
Yes.
Oh, that's so interesting. Okay, so the person who lives in the neighborhood with the Whole Foods and the Trader Joe's, and I love those stores, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why should they care about the kid who can't access the healthy food?
The old saying goes, the children are the future. What kind of children do you want, growing up leading the nation? What kind of children do you want growing up leading, families and leading communities, building an environment of people where we could come together and really work together and promote more of what we're trying to do in this world, which is peace. So if you don't have children who are healthy in mind, healthy in physicality, then you have people don't understand how obesity affects the mental health. People don't understand how diabetes affects one's mental health. If we start to understand those things are tied into each other, we would then start promoting more healthier things, more getting fit programs, more eating healthy programs, so that we have people with positive, uplifting, encouraging mindsets that are in leadership positions, that are in these roles, that are taking our nation, our communities, our homes into a better future. That's why it's important that everyone cares about a child's development, a child's mental development, a child's physical development. But I always tell people that everything is tied to food.
That's so good. Everything is tied to food. That's why I love this podcast, because we can talk about literally anything. Okay, so you had made some maybe wrong turns when you were younger, and now you're sitting here healthy, successful. How did things start to turn around for you?
I just looked at life from a worldly perspective. I stopped looking within my own box, and I started to look outside my box and say, what issues are worse than what I'm going through right now? And I came across a YouTube video, and I saw a child in Africa crawling on his stomach. He was maimed, so he couldn't walk. That video made me really take a dive into my life and say, what am I complaining about? What am I really worried about? My mom made sure we had a meal every single night. And here I am complaining about why I can't have this or why I can't have that. There's a bigger world out there that needs my attention, needs my help. And if I could bring attention to these issues, I feel like I can make a difference and change people's mindset around why we should all care about not just our local issues, but our global issues.
Well, that's great. So what's a typical breakfast, lunch, and dinner for you like these days?
Breakfast for me is a smoothie. And lunch for me is, I have this ABC system, right? I created. It's called GLCP, means something green, something clean, something lean, something protein. And so green is natural. People say green, they see the color, but green is more so something from nature, something that is natural. So I always try to eat something natural, which for me is going to be a smoothie. And then something clean, something without the process, without the hormones, without the steroids, without the high fructose corn syrup. I need my food to be clean. So I'm always looking for something more like a salad or something like an acai bowl. And so that's maybe a lunch for me. And then I will have in between lunch and dinner another smoothie, or I will have a wrap, something like a little mini wrap. It could be a chicken salad. It could be a Caesar salad with chicken, but I always try to go lean in that. And then I go protein. So mostly dinner is going to be protein foods. Everything on my plate is going to be high in protein. So it may be chickpea curry masala, or it could be a curry chicken, or it could be a venison burger or something like that. So I'm always looking for something high in protein because I'm in the gym after that fourth bite that I had. I'm in the gym. And then I want something to fulfill and replenish my body full of those aminos and those proteins.
Wow. Okay. Tell me the 4 again.
GCLP. It's green, clean, lean, protein.
I like that. I like that it rhymes.
Yes.
Easier to remember.
Yep.
Do you have any tips for getting kids to eat a little healthier or cook healthier meals?
Yeah, I would say go grocery shopping with your mother. Go to the grocery store and look outside the aisles, not inside the aisles. So let's say you can't afford to go to the fresh market, the Sprouts. Well, if you go to Walmart, Target, if you stay on the outside of the aisles, you'll be able to see a healthier option. So someone may say, well, how do I know what to eat? How do I know how to pick the right food? Just stay on the outside. The outside aisles is going to be where your fresh foods are, your fruits, your vegetables, all of those whole foods. That's what you're going to get from those. And so if I leave them with a tip, I would say just go grocery shopping with your mother and tell your mom, say, Mom, I want to eat fresh one night a week. Eat fresh one night a week. I guarantee you'll start to tell the difference in taste and what you eat, and you'll start to even feel the difference in your body and on your tongue. When you're eating something fresh, you'll feel the taste difference, and you'll feel the difference when you're eating something that's processed. So eat fresh one night a week, and you'll start to develop a more taste for fresh foods than you do the processed foods. It took time for me to get my children like that, but they're on the track right now to doing it. So
that's amazing. Yeah, I've been trying to cook more with my kids. Mm-hmm. That's we made tacos last night, Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.
Yeah. This has been great. Is there anything else you want us to know about Yes Chef Village or what you're up to?
Well, Yes Chef Village is coming back in July next month. And so they can find us in the Gulfport Food Forest, where we will be conducting what we do is called Village Suppers. And having did some travels around the world, I learned how to implement at the dinner table, holistic conversations. And so when they come back to the dinner table with us, they're going to be coming back to holistic conversations. So we're kicking off a theme of holistic conversations around Village Supper. So July, we start that.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for this holistic conversation. If somebody's listening and they don't necessarily need the food assistance, but they want to help, how can they get involved?
Simple, reach out to me at yeschefvillage@gmail.com and contact me and let me know they want to work with me. I have volunteers. So every time we do our suppers, we bring in volunteers. So if they want to volunteer in the kitchen with me, or they want to volunteer serving the meals out at the table, it's kind of like a restaurant outside. We do need servers. So if they want to help doing that, just reach out to me at yeschefvillage@gmail.com.
Well, Chef Marques Clark, Chef Omaka, Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
That was Marques Clark, a.k.a. Chef Omaka. He's the founder of Yes Chef Village. I love his mantra to eat something green, clean, lean, and protein. I think even I can remember that. I love something that rhymes. For even more healthy eating tips, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at The Zest Podcast. This season, we're debuting a social media series called Zest Snacks, sponsored by Adelaide Interiors. Now, these are short, shareable tips that you can use in the kitchen today, kind of like the green, clean, lean, and protein. And be sure to come back next week for a conversation with Arielle Colon. Yes, we are related. She's my stepdaughter, or as I call her, my bonus daughter. She's also a professional basketball player. Yep. And she's here to tell us all about how she eats to stay at the top of her game. She'll also share nutrition advice for us mere mortals, such as myself. So you don't want to miss that. I've known her since she was 7. She's now 25. And so I can tell you that she's absolutely incredible, and you're going to love hearing from a pro athlete. So join us back here next week. I'm Dalia Colon. I produce The Zest with Andrew Lucas and Alexandria Ebron. The Zest is a production of WUSF, copyright 2024, part of the NPR network.